Today's card is going to be a fairly straightforward one, mainly layering and die cutting, but we are going to add a little bit of brush calligraphy, a bit of stenciling, just to jazz it up a bit. So let's have a look at our products. So today we're using the new Eclectic Images Brush Script Amazing stamp. Let me hold that one up so you can see it a bit, which is brush word amazing, plus lots of other little words to go with it. Also, we're going to be using from the Bohemian Bliss set, the BeeArty Stencil, Daze, and the Calendula die. But I'm teaming that as well with a bit of one of the new slimline dies from Uniquely Creative, the Scalloped, slimline Scalloped one. Our papers we're using from the Bohemian Bliss pack, and I've chosen to go with the smaller square with the Calendula daisy pattern on, and then I've also die cut from the larger version, which is shown here on here. The large, I've just cut up some of the backing of that one, so I'm using it for both sides. So we're using this larger bit to die cut our calendula flowers from. We're teaming that with some Catherine Pooler inks from the Spring Fling collection, and also the Cranberry Fizz, which is a really good deep burgundy colour. And our brush calligraphy will be done with the fabulous Uniquely Creative markers. Okay, so I'm going to grab that ink pad to use, and let's have a look at our card. I've already pre-cut a few things just to save us a little bit of time, because die cutting can take a lot of time. So I'm just working on a basically 15 by 15, or technically this is 14.75 by 14.75 centimetre card. If you go 15 by 15, that's fine. I've then cut this so that we get the maximum of this paper showing, so that's 14 by 14, but we're still going to add a little bit of stenciling to that background card. I've also already cut and die cut a banner to put our brush script word on, and that will go across the front of the card like that. So let's start doing our stenciling. Now, to get the colours, I actually, with a scrap of the calendula paper showing the flower with the colours, I've actually looked at different ink colours and marker colours with that, and I found that I really liked the Cranberry Fizz, worked really well with it. So I was then able to look at the Catherine Pooler colour wheel and look at Cranberry Fizz and see what colours are in that same colour family, because I thought I want something really soft to stamp in and stenciling, but I want it to match with Cranberry Fizz. So that's why I've picked It's a Girl from the Spring Fling collection. Okay, I've also pre-stamped our Amazing in the It's a Girl, and then I've gone over it with some of our brush markers, again, just to test what colours I liked and what colours would go, not what I liked, but what I liked with this flower, so teaming it with the flower that's in the paper that we're using. And then pick those markers and put them to one side ready for our calligraphy. Okay, so let's do a little bit of stenciling. So I'll grab the It's a Girl and the Daze stencil, which I've put down somewhere. Okay, and remember, it's just the border, so I'm looking for something that's going to look interesting along just the very edge of the card. I'll use one of my number 10 brushes, and we just pick up a little bit of ink. And I'm going to just start off on my scrap because I want to see how strong it's coming on. Fairly strong. So let's start on the scrap and then just dust a little bit in. Now, if you're not sure how it's going, lift your card up just to check. That's perfect. That's all we want. Just that little bit there. And the same down the side. Take a little bit of ink off my brush. Circle it from my scrap onto the card. Just check how it's looking. Beautiful. Let's move down here. So I might start putting a few on a bit of an angle just to make it look a little bit different. Now, I didn't re-ink that time, just trusting that there's enough on the brush, so I'm just going to take a little look without moving anything. Nope, that's all good. I'm going to find myself liking this so much, I'm going to want to see more of it, I think. By angling the stencil at different angles and moving it around, it means that our background pattern is going to look a little bit different as we go around the card. Just going to bring a little bit more in at that point there. Okay, now because I can't resist dark inks, I'm going to use the Cranberry Fizz and just edge the outer edge of this card. And I'm tossing up whether to edge the sentiment piece, and I'm trying to say don't do it. That makes Matthew chuckle. So let's just darken mainly the corners. So just a little bit along the edge. You'll notice I'm picking up a bit of ink, tapping it off on my scrap so I don't get it too strong. And now let's have a look at that with our patterned paper and just see that we like it. Yeah, that's nice. I think I could actually have it dark around the edge though. So let's do a swipe and then we'll put this card to one side until we're ready for it. So let's give us a nice deep swipe around the edge. So I've got this just as a single layer, but this is what you'd have as your folded base card to go with this one. Remember, when you're swiping the edge of a card, don't go straight across, go on a bit of an angle, and that way you don't do any damage to the ink pad. Okay, let's leave that to one side to dry. I'm just going to sneak that in for another check. Yep, that's better with the darker border. Okay, oh, while we're stenciling, I've already pre-cut the piece that we're going to put our amazing onto, so let's do some stenciling on this as well. This is where I'm going to have trouble not edging it with the dark. So I'm going to go back to the It's a Girl. And let's put on an angle to make the flowers a bit more interesting. And I'll start off a little bit stronger and then just go lighter as we go across. This is such a cute little stencil, isn't it? Okay, so I've got an advantage over you guys because I already know where I'm going with this. So I know I'm going to stamp my amazing, let's turn this around so you can see a bit easier. I'm going to stamp amazing on that end and have our brush calligraphy there. So that's why I want the daisies stronger there and then fading off. Now what do you think? Shall we edge the card the same as that one or just leave it soft? Let's have a little bit of a look at our layering. I think we'll just leave it soft. Oh, did I really just say that? Okay, all right, let's get on with some. Now I have, again to save time, I've already die cut our flowers with the Calendula die. Let's get our amazing done first. So I've got my 3 calligraphy markers ready. These brush markers are so good for doing your brush calligraphy. But I'm going to stamp amazing first with It's a Girl because this gives me my guide to follow. So I stamp that down at the end of the card. Just make sure I'm fitting it all on there. Press down nice and firmly. Okay. Amazing. Now I will have to turn this around for doing the brush calligraphy because I really have trouble doing that upside down. And what I'm going to do, what I've picked is 3 colours. And so I actually, as I said, I stamped the word amazing and tested out different colours and then looked at them next to the paper to see what was matching nicely with the paper. And I thought the oranges just didn't work as well as the pinks. So I've decided to go with the pinky shades and pinks into red into a plum like the Cranberry Fizz. So I'll take the lids off all of them. What I'm going to do is start with we're going to do an ombre effect. So there was another red that I could have used, but it was a bit stronger. And I thought, no, go with the soft one so I've got a graduation of colours. So we're just going to, with our brush marker, we do a light upstroke on the A there, and then a stronger downstroke. So I'm going a little bit further than where I want the colour to be because I'm going to be overlapping my colours. So up and then down. And because the pink ink in the background matches what we're doing, if we actually don't cover the whole area or if we go over an edge, that's not going to be a problem. Or even we leave some of the upstrokes just in the ink. Because it's all toning in, that's still going to work for us. So now I'll get my red. So I'll just put the one colour to one side until I get to that one. Put my red in. And then we're going to use the pink just to blend the two colours in together. Now if I was working on watercolour paper, I could do this with a water pen, but I'm just working on normal cardstock, so I'm just using the actual brush to get the blending happening. And this will get us our lovely ombre look. Now I only need to blend the top edge because of course we're going to be blending the darker colour into the bottom edge. So I just have to go over the edge a bit just to get the two colours blending. And I'm just trying to use the very tip of the brush so that I don't end up making my letters going too wide on them. Especially where I've done it on a narrow bit like that. So sort of go over it a few times just to get the ink dissolving, and then you can do some strokes to blend it out. You can see why I said we might want to leave some of the upstrokes just as the pink ink, because blending on those little areas is going to get tricky. Of course, you could just handwrite it if you wanted to in with the pink marker, but by having the stamped image first, it gives you just a guide to follow, which does make life easier. Plus, in the brush set, you get all the extra little words that go with it as well. There. Really shouldn't have done those little ones. That's just making life too tricky, isn't it?
You love a challenge.
I do love a challenge. Sometimes that red takes a little bit of dissolving. And you can see from the upstrokes that I have left without any ink on them that they're going to look fine. So you can actually leave all the narrow upstrokes just in the ink and just put your colours on your wider bits where you've got a little bit more blending room. So just wiggle over that till it dissolves a bit. And some longer strokes to blend it. The blending is easier with these if you are on watercolour paper and you do it with a water brush, but sometimes we just want to use some white card and that's fine. Okay, let's add in our deeper shade. And if you do the blob like I did there, just put a bit more pressure on the brush and make it into something. Or we could make sure that we pop a flower over that when we do our flowers, or a bit of liquid pearls, a bit of glitter. Okay, a darker colour. Just bring it up just to the red. Dissolve that with the red. And do some strokes till it blends in. Now if you find you've then changed your red colour, you may need to come in with your lighter pink and just do a little bit of blending through there as well. Just so we get that lovely blend happening. Oh, that's pretty cool, isn't it? bit of pink. I'm really using just the very tip of the marker, except when I'm doing these strokes where I do a bit of pressure to get that brush marker wider. And if you don't get out to the full width of your stamped image when you're putting your brush on, that's fine, because as you're doing this blending, you'll move it out to that edge anyway. And possibly a bit further. There. Let's put that one in as well. So you can actually run that red brush right over that burgundy just to get your blend happening. Now I'm thinking this word's too long. It's taking ages, sorry guys. You know, one of the trickiest things is keeping track of which pen's which in your hand. But it's going to be worth it. It's going to look really good. I'm getting better at my blending. I'm not needing the light pink as much. I lied. I need it on that one. Do I dare let Matthew do a really good close-up when we're finished, just to see my blending? I don't think we do.
Pretty close now.
Rightio, pop my lids on. Now I'm going to be careful just to make sure that I don't catch any of those bristles in the lids as I put them on, because we want to keep those lovely fine points protected. As you can see how much you use the fine point. Let's have a look at our amazing. I think that's pretty amazing. Right, sorry. Now I'm going to, let's have a look at where our card's going. So we've got our base layer. We've got our amazing banner. And then we're going to layer some flowers over the top. So as I said, I've already die cut these. So we're going to put, and they're die cut out of the same pattern but slightly different. Rather than cutting out of exactly the same, by doing it out of the bigger version, it means that the pattern on these in colouring is a little bit more vivid than the background one. So let's just play around with where we might like to put our flowers. I might tuck some underneath. We've got a little one to put in the centre of that one. And we might just we could layer those ones up and put a little one just there. That could look good. Okay, so that means I want to shape those two. And let's get our other bit of our greeting stamped on this because it can be drying. So I've already put on an acrylic block the Today Will Be, and we'll stamp this with the Cranberry Fizz. That brings this colour more into it. So light tap on your ink pad. Have a look at where we want that placed. I think I'll put it down lower. So today will be amazing. Right, let's shape our flowers. So to shape our flowers, I'm going to use a shaping tool, which could be something like this one or one of your metal ball-ended tools. Just pop down a mat, which can be a computer mouse pad mat or an actual shaping mat. And I'm just going to do some circles, which will start to lift those petals up a little bit. We can leave it like that, or we can actually go on the backing area and just fold the petals back down. Let's just pull them up a little bit more. And we're going to just, usually I do shaping with solid flowers, so this is a little bit different to do it with a flower that's so delicate. But you know, by the time we've smooshed it and pounced it a bit, it won't be delicate at all anymore, will it? Toughen it up. Tough love, little flower. Okay, let's shape that one a bit that way. And then push down the middle, and that should bring us up nicely. Okay. Let's stick everything together. Says me who didn't get double-sided tape set out ready for this. Looking around to see if I can easily see some. I've got my glossy accents for sticking down my flowers. And Matthew's just reaching over to grab some tape and fling it in my direction, I think. We may have to do an edit here, guys. Double-sided tape, come on. I think we'll just pretend. We'll pretend. I'll put a little bit of glossy accents underneath. Okay. Right, now in case we did an edit, here we are about to start again. If we don't do an edit, woohoo, blooper reel. Okay, let's put some glossy accents on the back of this bit of card, just to stick it down. Pick it up without sticking your finger in anywhere that you put the glossy accents. Now I'm just going to hold it carefully and see how big my border was. There we go, smooth that on. Now that will only take a couple of moments to dry, but we're going to keep layering as we go. Let's get our amazing banner. Let's just layer that one. Now, when you're handling smaller stuff, and I have got standing by, this one's probably okay, but smaller stuff, I have got some tweezers standing by. Once I start working with the little flowers, I'm definitely going to want to be using tweezers. Just checking that I'm fairly parallel with the bottom there. A little bit of pressure. And now we can start popping on our flowers. Now I'm mainly going to put some glue on the centre of them. Matthew just given me a whole roll of gaffer tape. No, I don't think that'll quite work, Matthew. Good try though. This is the Techies Super This Will Fix Anything tape. Not going to quite work for crafty stuff. So let's send it back to him. He didn't catch it. Probably because he's stuck behind the camera and couldn't get to it. Yeah, I was expecting superhero leap through the air to catch it. Okay, so let's put our glossy accents just on the back there. Hold it with my tweezers so I can position it and be happy with it. And then we'll get a little shaped one and pop him on top. And you can actually move the point of your tweezers just to move it around a bit until you're happy with where you've got it placed.
You couldn't do that with double-sided tape.
That's right. Now, actually, I do usually use glossy accents for doing my flowers, putting them on. But yes, I very rarely do glossy accents for doing my base layers of card. I think I've put that one not where we planned it, but it's where I just decided I liked it then. And we're going to have one down there with a shaped one over the top of it. And another little one just here. But now that's coming over where I've stamped the words. So let's change that and maybe put it here. Little one there. Or little one down there and this one across here. So I'm just having a look at how the layout looks before I actually stick down. I like that. Okay. Just because you plan something out doesn't mean that you have to stick with that when you start doing your layering up. You're allowed to change. And that's going to look nice coming over that edge there a little bit. Our last step is going to be to add some liquid pearls into the centres of the flowers. Give that a good press down. And our last little one, okay. Now I've decided rather than going with a pink for the liquid pearls, and it's in my pocket, it's a cold morning in Ballarat this morning, so I've had the liquid pearls in my pocket just to warm it up a bit. I've decided to go with a marigold, which will be closer to the centre of the flowers colour on the paper.
27 minutes.
So I'm just going to test that on there, and then we'll very quickly add some drops in the middle of our flowers. That one's obviously not quite stuck down yet with the glossy accents. Let's just very carefully give it a bit more pressure. Okay, a little bit on this one. I can do a bigger blob if I want to, and then just a couple of smaller ones. Or masses of them, whatever you feel like. And remember, I wasn't quite happy with that start of the A. Let's put a little blob there, which means it would be nice to do one on the end there as well. And we'll just do a couple of little ones down there, and I think that is enough. So a layered card with some die cutting and just a little bit of brush calligraphy to jazz it up a bit. There we go. Hope you like that one. Again, with the Bohemian Bliss papers and some of the accessories with our kit. And I hope you enjoy making it. Thank you very much for being with us and watching today.